Well, this is one of them situations where it shows that boxing is not all bad all the time. 35-4 with 20 KOs. Paul Smith of the Brother Smith, son of Paul Smith Sr., family of boxers of the UK, will be taking on Arthur Abraham in a rematch. Right now, it's said to be February the 21st, 2015, and will it be on Sky Sport? Probably, most likely. I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live, 5:14 a.m., December the 5th, 2014, Eastern Standard Time. We're going to talk about some boxing. So, Paul Smith is going to accomplish something that George Groves, who defeated him in the second round, knocked him out in the second round. He was down a couple of times in that fight, if I'm correct. And James DeGale, wait, let me back up. George Groves is the WBC 168-pound number one contender to Anthony Dirrell's 168-pound WBC title. He's recognized, him and Carl Froch basically are recognized as the top two 168-pound fighters. You can't count Andre Ward because Andre Ward does not fight. So let's say it's Carl Froch number one, Anthony Dirrell number two, and then Arthur Abraham number three. Now, when you look at the fact that Paul Smith was knocked out by George Groves was stopped by Carl Froch twice, and he's supposed to be getting a title shot against Anthony Dirrell, but has had two fights, and he hasn't looked good since losing to Carl Froch. And you look at James DeGale, who's actually looking better than ever, knocking out two fighters straight that have not been knocked out before, like Brandon Gonzalez and Marco Antonio Parabon. So James DeGale stopped Paul Smith too. James DeGale is the number one contender, mandatory for the IBF title that Carl Froch now holds. But here's the thing, they're both Matchroom boxers, so Carl Froch is hoping to get Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and basically Eddie Hearn, from my understanding, is keeping James DeGale at bay. Like, hold on, we got you. Hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. So when you look at Paul Smith coming close to doing what these fighters have not been able to do, meaning George Groves and James DeGale, you have to say, wow, of all the people, Paul Smith was close to being a 168-pound champion in a fight that nobody thought he would even have a chance of winning. This was supposed to be a step over for Arthur Abraham, and in some points you could see it. Now, how's he going to come out in the second fight? That remains to be seen. But let's go back and look at the cards. You got two cards that's 117, 111, and 119, 109. I covered that fight live, and it was a disgrace. I can see, just like Paul Smith said at post, I forgot which channel it was, but a post-fight interview he had, he was saying, I can see if the fight, I can see if there was maybe one or two cards that had 115, 113, but those cards were outrageous. And the fact that the WBO did not order a mandatory rematch, or didn't even, investigate to the fullest extent, in my opinion, because that rematch should have been mandatory. I'm just glad that Arthur Abraham and I forgot his name, Kalle, Sauerland, the promotional company that has George Groves, Mikhail Kessler, I think Stieglitz, a couple other fighters. So what I'm saying is, I guess this, you have to give a shout out to Arthur Abraham, even though a lot of people don't know that glove controversy was involved in that fight, just like Mayweather versus Maidana 1 and 2. Paul Smith had to wear whatever gloves A-side, Arthur Abraham, double A-side, Arthur Abraham wanted Paul Smith to wear. Remember, Paul Smith, you can say, I guess, 35 wins, 20 knockouts. He's got some power to him, but what we saw was that nagging, frustrating Paul Smith that was defeating Arthur Abraham. But like I said, I'm a boxing fan that's a realist, and I can understand how on your side you can say Arthur Abraham clearly won. But on my side, Paul Smith won, but I can see how, it all depends, because all judges score fights differently. So, for example, this is a common example I use. How would the judges in Canelo versus Lara score Mayweather versus Maidana 1 or 2? You get what I'm saying? So it all depends on what the judge was looking for. I was looking at the activity, and I wish I had the punch stats with me right now, but I don't. I should have looked at them, to remind myself before I did the video. But what I saw was a highly active and somewhat efficient Paul Smith, whereas when you saw Arthur Abraham, basically he fought in burst. And you could tell that maybe his conditioning wasn't where it used to be in previous bouts. After all, this guy's been in some big fights. If you look at Stieglitz, if you look at Carl Froch, Andre Dirrell, and one more person I'm missing. I'm missing one more person. Andre Dirrell. He knocked out Jermaine Taylor in the last round. But I'm not going to sit here all day. I'm going to say I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live. it's hard for me to go against off the Abraham in a rematch, you know. But then again, every now and then you get those fighters that get that eye of the tiger. You know, maybe Paul Smith has that eye of the tiger. Maybe in the first fight, you know, he knows he should have won, and in the second fight, he may go in there and finish off Abraham off. Abraham has been stopped before. I'm just saying, but we know Smith has been stopped twice before too. James DeGale, George Groves. I'm just saying, but also understand, and I'm an American boxing fan, so to get the information, I got to go through hell and high water, and to watch the interviews and all that stuff, I got to go to YouTube, and to get the inside stuff, I got to talk to people all over in the UK. So please cut me some slack. Listen, over here in the United States, people say, why don't you just get Box Nation? We can't get Box Nation in the United States. You can't. Currency. Why don't you, you can watch it on Sky Sports. We don't know. You can watch AWE, Wealth Network. I got Comcast Xfinity. We don't have that channel. You know, so I literally got to go through a lot of shit to be able to watch these fights. And I'm thinking, when is somebody going to do something about this? I understand that the networks have to put up enough money to buy the fights, you know, to broadcast them and you know that. But as a fan, you know, I need to see those fights. And also, how can you sell those fighters over here when they come over here to fight somebody over here? You'd be surprised how many people really don't know who Eddie Hearn or George Groves or all those guys are. But then they come over here, you know, for example, if George Groves was to fight Anthony Durrell right now, they say, oh, he's a bum. What is he doing over here? Even though a lot of people who follow George Groves, they may think, oh, he's not that good. They may say he's a bum, but they know better to know that he's not the bum to the scale that Americans would say he would be if he came over here for the Anthony Durrell, you know, or a Jermaine Taylor or an American fight. You see what I'm saying? So even though George Groves is a whiny, whingy wanker, over there, you know, people are saying, oh, you know, Frauds fans mostly are saying, oh, he's a bum. He's not ready to go to the next level. But over here, he would be considered like trash over here. And it's not because of him as a fighter. It's because we don't have the access over here, American fans, to watch him. Even right now, you can't watch nowhere online his fight versus George Groves' fight versus Dennis Douglas. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, something's got to be done about this, because it's like you want the sport of boxing to grow, but we got to start getting a global crossover going on, which is one of the things that that's what I'm going to do. You know, I want to make sure that all boxing fans know of all boxers throughout the world. So when they come over here, you know, they're not saying, oh, who is this guy and all that. Like, people should have known, you know, that Kell Brook wasn't just going to come over here and get knocked out. Me, when I did my videos, I couldn't just come out and say it, but something told me like, yo, he's got the skills. We just got to know if that special K guy shows up. The special one. I don't know why I just got so animated and excited. Maybe because it's very, very early in the morning. I haven't had too much breakfast and 4 hours of sleep. T Street Controversy, please subscribe. Real Combat Media, T Street Controversy Love.